Homework 5, yes. So we are simplifying. Someday I'll get a tripod and do this more effectively. I need a producer to help me. This is going to be really important review so you do really well on your midterm final. Your answer should contain positive exponents only. Don't forget that. Number 1. I have, oh great, I have like terms, right? So they are both a to the third, b to the second, which makes this a little bit easier. So now I'm just subtracting 3 minus 5, and I'm going to end up with negative 2. And I get to hold on to the rest of the term. And that is my final answer there. Number 2. Let's see, we have some like terms. I'm going to try not to shake the camera too much. So I have some like terms. I'm going to start with my negative 2x squared y. And then I have these two terms that I can combine. So I'm going to end up with 7xy. I'm going to go ahead and practice putting all my answers in boxes. So again, I can't just combine all of these. I can only combine these like terms, and then this one has to stay separate. Subtract negative 2w from negative 6w. So I'm going to start with I'm going to box my from for a minute because I know I have to start with that term. Negative 6w. I'm subtracting negative 2w. Now don't forget that if I am subtracting a negative, it means that I am adding, sorry, it looks like a 5 for some reason. I'm adding 2w. So negative 6, if I think about it, plus 2 will yield me negative 4. And I hold on to my w. Okay. Number 4. Oh, I like this. Okay, I get to simply add the exponents. So I have a to the 7th. Very good. So I have my product rule. So that's pretty cut and dry. I have over here, I have a power rule. So I'm going to have negative, remember what this means. It means negative x to the 5th times negative x to the 5th, because I'm squaring those terms. So I wrote that out on purpose. So negative 1, if I think about it, times negative 1, I'm going to end up with positive. I can think about it like as positive 1, but that's really just an x. And then I have 5 plus 5. So I have my product rule is x to the 10th. Okay. 6, I've got a quotient rule. So this is pretty straightforward. I'm just subtracting 5 from 9. So I'm going to end up with k to the 4th. Number 7. So right now, okay, this is not, the one in parentheses, the term in parentheses is not being raised to a power. So I'm just simply multiplying these two terms together. So I have negative 5 times negative 3, which I know is positive 15. I have x to the 3rd, and I have x to the 4th, so I'm simply going to add those exponents together to get my 7. Okay. Okay, so now I am raising this to a power. So here we go. I have, and I'm going to write it out, negative 2 squared, x to the 4th, y to the 2nd. So I'm just rewriting that times, I'm just going to rewrite that over here. Now negative 2 squared is going to be positive 4. I get to hold on to the rest. And now I'm going to multiply 4, the coefficient, to negative 3. I'm going to end up with negative 12. I have 4 and I have 1, so x to the 5th. And then I have y to the second plus the third is y to the fifth. And that's done. 9. I'm not raising anything to a power of a power, so I can go ahead and multiply 2 times 5, which is 10. I have negative exponents though now, so I have a negative 5, and I'm adding 2 to it, so I'm going to end up with negative third, and I have 6 plus 2. It's going to be 8. Now remember, I can't have a negative exponent. So I've got to do some flip-flopping here. I'm going to hold on to my 10 on top. I'm going to hold on to my b to the 8th on top, but I'm going to put it all over a to the third, because remember, I just get to flip-flop it to turn it into a positive exponent. Okay, number 10. So I'm squaring this whole term. So again, I could think about it like this, right? Remember, sometimes it is helpful to write it out if that helps you to see. So now I have negative 4 squared, which I know is going to yield me positive. And then I have 4 plus 4, 8. Okay. 11. Oh man, I have powers and I have powers upon powers. Let's start with the first one. So I am going to have a to the 8th because I have my power rule. I have b to the 4th. And I have c to the 12th. Just multiplying those. And then over here I have b to the 6th and c to the 3rd. And now I get to use the product rule and just add these together. So I have a to the 8th. I have b to the 10th because I'm adding 4 plus 6. And I have c to the 15th because I'm adding those two. And voila. There you go. This is so fun. 12. Oh dear, I have a negative exponent outside. Ugh. So I'm going to think about this as 6 to the negative third. I'm just going to write that. I have c to the negative third. And I have d. Negative 1 times negative 3 is positive 3. Now I got to deal with this. So what 6 to the negative third means is 1 over 6 to the third. Remember, that means the same as this, the negative exponent rule. I'll just keep rewriting this, d to the third. Now I have to figure out what 6 cubed is. So if I think about 6 cubed, is going to be, I'm going to write it down here. 6 times 6 times 6, so it's 36 times 6, which is actually 216. So I have 216, and then I have c, again I keep rewriting it, negative third, d to the third, but spidey sense is going off and it's telling me I cannot keep that negative exponent there. So let's see, what is there, anything positive on the top here? And we do have one thing, it's the d cubed is going to be on top. On the bottom, I'm going to have my 216 on the bottom, and I'm going to bring the negative exponent also down to the bottom. And that is the answer. I'm going to go ahead and box it. I'm trying to get better at my boxing. See, 13. I have 4, if I rewrite this, to the negative third, and then a to the negative third times a to the negative fourth. Now 4 to the negative third also means 1 over 4 to the third, a to the negative third times a to the negative fourth. Okay, so a, and then 4 cubed, and this is again a good one to memorize, is 4 times 4 times 4, which is 64. Okay, and then I have to think about a to the negative third times a to the negative 4. Well, if you think about it, I am simply adding these together, right? So if you think about negative 3 plus negative 4 is negative 7. But remember, Spidey sense, I'm going to go ahead and circle that. If that helps to circle, if you have a negative exponent, to just remind you that you have to do something to it, so be it. So if I were to rewrite this in final form, it would be 1 over 64. That's a terrible 6. And then think about what I'm putting on the bottom, putting an a to the 7th on the bottom. Okay. 14. 3 to the 2nd power. So I'm not going to write this out as much, but I'm going to end up with 9x squared y squared. I'm going to multiply that by 4 to the negative 4 to the 3rd power. I'm going to rewrite that for just a minute. Well, negative 4 to the 3rd power is, well, 4 to the 3rd power is 64. It's an odd exponent. If it's an odd exponent, then the number is going to be negative. Okay? So I'm going to end up with negative 64. X to the 3 times 3 is 9th. And y 2 times 3 is to the 6th. Okay? And then down here, I'm going to multiply 9 by negative 64, those coefficients. I'm going to end up with negative 576. I'm going to end up with the product rule again, 2 plus 9 for my x's, and the y's to the 8th. Number 15. So I have 4 cubed. Well, there are a lot of 4 cubed. By now, you could probably remember 4 cubed is 64. Then I have a to the negative 3rd, because I have negative 1 times 3. I have b, well, 5 times 3 is 15. And I have c, negative 3 times 3 is negative 9. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and circle some of those negative exponents to bring my attention to them. What's going to end up on top? We have 64, and we have b to the 15th. And then we're going to do a little Shazam, a little bring down here. A to the 3rd, and c to the 9th down here. 16. My kids are wondering where I am right now. 9 divided by 3. So let's go for this. 9 divided by 3, I know it's 3. And then I have my quotient rule, 8 minus 10, which is negative 2. But remember, I'm going to circle that because I can't be in my final form. I'm going to hold on to my coefficient. I'm going to bring this whole exponent down. 3 over d squared. 6 divided by 4 I can't do, but I can still simplify the fraction. If I divide both sides by 2, so which is basically splitting it in half. What's half of 6? Well, that's 3. What's half of 4? That's 2. So I just simplified that fraction if you think about it. And then I have created a very long line. I'm going to erase some of that. Now I have a to the 5th minus a to the 1st, which is a to the 4th. And then I have b2 minus 3 is b to the negative 1. So I'm going to draw a little big line here. So I'm going to hold on to this fraction still. So I'm going to still have my numerator and denominator. I'm going to hold on to any positive exponent upstairs, and I'm going to bring any negative exponent downstairs. And I'm going to box my final answer. Voila. Number 18, 32 divided by negative 8. Ooh, that's a neat one. 32 divided by negative 8 is negative 4. So that's a neat one. 3 minus 1 is 2. 2 minus 1 is 1. So y1. 5 minus 2 is 3. Guess what? We're done. I was thinking we were going to do a little more with that one. We are almost done. My kids are almost going to see their mom tonight. I have 2 to the 4th power. So if I think about 2 to the 4th power, it's basically 4 squared, isn't it? Which equals 16. And then I have y to the 5 times 4 to the 20th. Down here, I can just hold on to that. Now, here's the deal. I can simplify these, right? So I know they're both even. I could split both in half, both the top and bottom. So if I do 16 divided by 2, I end up with 8. And I have 5. 10 divided by 2 is 5. And then I have y to the 5th. Okay. We're almost there. Oh my goodness. Whew. We have 3 cubed, which is the same as 9 squared. So 3 cubed, 3 to the 4th power, excuse me, is the same as 9 squared, which is 81. Then I have x to the 20th, and y, that's a 0, and then y to the 12th. And I'm going to stick that all over the bottom, which is 3 times 4, so I have a power of 4 to the 12th, and then y to the 6 times 4, 24. Okay. So let's draw a line here. So I'm going to end up with my 81 on top. I have 20 minus 12. Oh my gosh, the lights just went out. Which is x to the 8th. And then, oh, I can already tell 12 minus 24 is negative 12. Oh man. So if it's going to be negative 12 up here, you want me to write it? I'll write it. Negative 12. But I'm going to circle it because the final answer is going to be 81 x to the 8th over y to the 12th. We are almost done. Last but not least, 21, which is half of 42. So we got to half of the meaning of life today. Oh my goodness. We have negative 6 squared, which is 36. We have a to the 10th and b squared over, and then, oh yeah, we have subtraction here. And then we have 12, a to the 7th, and then b, minus 8, a to the 3rd, b. Okay, I wonder if these are going to be like terms, hopefully. So let's think about, well, 36 and 12, could I simplify that? Does 12 go into 36? I think 12 times 3 is 36. So could I rewrite this as 3? Now I have 10 minus 7. So I have a to the 3rd. And then b, 2 minus 1. Yay! Looks like I'm going to have like terms, which is so fun. It's fun for you, I'm sure it is. So now I have 3 minus 8, and then I can hold on to those like terms. Don't cancel these out. Remember, you have to hold on to them. Because remember, we're combining them with a subtraction sign. So these two are going to yield you negative 5, a to the 3rd, b. That is your final answer. Good luck.